a deity, they have constructed with certain rituals and energy. What they believe is when certain people go towards that deity, right, they get certain kind of energy charged from them. That's all it is.
But the deity itself, when you say they construct it, so this is idols made of stone, right?
They're made of stone.
Okay, so so what kind of energy you get from stone?
Basically, let's assume what kind of energy. See, let's assume a cell phone tower.
Okay.
It's a technical equipment put in a certain way to emit certain kind of energy. That's it, right? That's what it
God
is.
who gives the power. It's Satan who gives the power to the stone. You may believe.
No, but a cell phone tower has been constructed to emit that energy, but the stone is not built for that purpose.
No, you are not using same. You see, you have to use that day. Cell phone tower is today.
Yeah.
I'm using an analogy. You cannot take it literally.
Fair enough.
Okay.
But what I'm trying to understand is that, to me, a stone is an object which is not sentient. So it doesn't harm or benefit anyone. It is just a stone at the end of the day.
But the point what I'm making here is that fundamentally, the reason I told I'm making a point on the deities, I'm not making the point on a god. Hinduism fundamentally.
So are you saying the deities are not gods?
Deities are not gods.
So why do they call them devas?
Because of the
They call them devas.
No.
Dev means God, right?
Okay.
So devas means plural of God.
Basically, devas. See, this I'm not qualified enough to talk about it.
Yeah, I think
but
so.
I can tell one point very well. I can make.
What's your name, by the way?
I'm Raj.
Raj, I'm Hashim. Nice meeting you.
I can make one point. There is no God as per the singular universal, the creator God. They have they have Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma. They call it
The Trimurti.
Trimurti.
Yeah.
But it is conceptual. It is to explain a concept in that way, not to be in absolute literal terms. Okay, they don't tell that Brahma, they came and created the universe.
So Brahma is a creator, Vishnu is a sustainer, and Shiva is a destroyer.
These are concepts. These are concepts.
Also, they're not literally God.
They are not literally God.
Wow.
Okay, these are concepts.
Okay.
That's why I'm telling you, you cannot take the Hindu religion,
Literally.
gods, in the Abrahamic religion.
Yeah, they're not same.
They are not same.
So we can't compare the Hindu.
And here is the beauty of and again, I'm an atheist. And
Are you?
I am an atheist.
But you can be a Hindu.
I can be a Hindu.
Wow.
I can be an atheist, and that my religion gives the freedom. You know what?
Interesting.
Because I have the free. And by the way, if you go to Hinduism,
No, that's interesting. I want to know, as an atheist, who do you think is Krishna?
Which one?
Krishna. Or Vishnu. According to you, who are these devas or deities?
These,
For an atheist, who are they?
okay, for an atheist, I can see this in two ways.
Or rather, an atheist Hindu, who are they?
I can see them as two ways.
Yeah.
This is a story from history. We call what is called mythology is any history which we cannot prove it archaeologically, scientifically.
It's a myth.
No, anything that cannot be proved scientifically.
A myth cannot be proven.
But once it's proven, it becomes a fact.
Yeah.
Once it's proven.
So until then, it remains a myth.
Until then, it remains a myth. So these could be a story of a person. It could be a concept, whatever it is.
Okay.
But
So it could be a real person.
which one?
There is a possibility that there was an actual Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, real persons. Or are these systems? What are they?
No. See, here is another thing with Hinduism, which people understand. The problem is that what Hinduism, because of by nature, it is very open. Lot of these things, ideas from the different religion, right? All these were accommodated into the fabric. So you will have a lot of these stories in that.
Sorry, brother.
Sorry.
Just a bit there. Okay, thank you.
There is a lot
I can barely
of
hear
stories,
you.
fabric stitched together, so you will have this multiple story, layer upon layer story. And here is and the flaw with that, I will tell you the flaw with understanding that.
Sorry, flaw with what?
The flaw with the flaw or challenge, not a flaw, challenge with that is there is no single truth. the challenge with that is there is no single truth that absolutely it gives, like the other religion it gives. But that is the value of it, because you know what? It doesn't claim the false claim that it knows the single truth.
Sorry, who knows?
The ones which tell they know it, they know the God.
So they're wrong.
They don't know.
Okay.
They don't
So
know. They're probably.
you know, you probably are offending a lot of Hindus, and I wouldn't want to do that.
So be it. I'm fine. I'm fine.
I know you're fine, but they are not. By you offending the gods.
This is my idea.
Okay.
I live in a democracy.
Right.
This is what I believe in. If they are being offended, so
Because
be it.
if a Hindu wakes up in the morning and they pray to Krishna or Shiva or whatever tradition of Hinduism they follow, and then you come along, Mr. Hindu, as an atheist, that all that is rubbish.
No, I didn't say that. You are saying that. You are putting words in my mouth.
Okay, when I say
that.
rubbish means they don't exist.
No. I don't.
They could be.
No.
They don't exist.
These are. They don't exist according to me.
Yeah, of course, according to you.
Right?
That's why I said according to you.
me, Allah doesn't exist too.
I know you're an atheist.
No, I'm atheist.
I know.
So, according to me, Jesus.
But
doesn't
then
exist.
you're saying you're also Hindu.
I mean, they exist. They existed. Sorry, that's not true.
Okay.
I will take my words back.
That's better.
They probably existed.
Okay.
They probably, the books are right. What they wrote is also right. They are probably leaders or great wise men to be respected of that time. Absolutely no question, because somebody doesn't become what they are and so beloved by their people without doing something good. So
I'm glad you changed your tune there.
that much I respect.
Okay.
But to give them the stature of telling they are the creator God, I won't buy that.
What about-
that? Is a cuckoo story.
Okay, what about, don't call it cuckoo story. Let's
No,
respect.
according to me.
Okay, let's
According
respect.
to me.
Look, I'm a Muslim, and I know that the Hindus is a different religion, but I will still respect what they believe
I
in.
respect
In the sense that I will not mock it.
No.
Like the way calling it
No,
cuckoo.
I'm not mocking. Oh,
Okay?
sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
Like imagine you respect your mom and dad. If
sorry.
somebody says something bad to
Fair
them,
enough, fair
you feel offended.
Fair enough, fair
For them,
enough,
it's
fair
more than parents; it's their God.
Understood,
Okay,
fair enough,
that's what the
fair
Quran teaches us.
Understood,
Not
fair
to mock, because then they'll mock
No,
in
you're right.
return.
You're right. In that
Okay.
case, we are breaking the discourse.
Fine enough. Okay, so let's
which I
bring the
appreciate.
energies a bit down and let's talk rationally rather than with emotions. You say you're an atheist, yeah? What about the concept of Brahman? You heard of that? This sits above the Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. So it's like the universal soul. What is your understanding, or I don't know, what is your take on that?
The only take I take in that,
Yeah.
that is actually close to the cosmic, whatever it can, and that, if you tell, is
They call it the Paramatma, or the universal soul.
whichever religion calls that, I am with that, because
No, that's the Hinduism belief.
That is an unknown.
Yeah.
That is a supreme unknown.
Yeah,
Nobody
they want you to come here, so
That is
you're
a
facing the camera.
That is a supreme unknown. None of us can understand it. None of us can grasp it, and which is what is the reality even today. Because we don't know what we don't know, right? We know what we know. There are a lot more we don't know, and that I am willing to accept.
You're willing to accept the Brahman, the concept of Brahman, which is the universal soul, which is formless, shapeless. I think someone even told me that it's without an attribute, but I find that hard to
you
believe.
call it the
Yeah.
universal unknown. Let's call it that. I am okay with that.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, good.
The universal unknown.
But it is an entity that exists,
I
right?
don't know.
Okay, then you cannot call it universal unknown. Because to me, if something is universal, then it cannot be completely unknown. I know there are certain aspects of,
Why you say that?
yeah, because how can it be universal? It's like saying a squared circle.
Not
It's a
from
contradiction in terms.
not from a people point of view. It is a universal unknown. See, like for example, what is outside our solar system? What is outside our galaxy? Right? We don't know.
You mean outside the universe?
Or even our galaxy for that matter. We know some of it. We don't know many of it.
No,
right?
we know from using powerful telescopes like the
Right.
Hubble telescope,
Right, but,
and they can see
whether
quite.
there is life there or not, we don't know.
Okay,
right?
that's a different thing. Yeah.
Right, but what I'm saying is there is a lot we don't know.
Of course, there is. In fact, there's a lot on this earth we don't know. We haven't explored all of the oceans. Okay, all of the underground. Okay, so forget about the cosmos. We don't know about our own earth.
So that is exactly where I come from, because trying to put some firmness, which I don't have against anything, but trying to put this is what is absolute is.
Yeah.
when the fact is we don't know, I have a problem with that.
So from what you have told me, I think you believe in something which is the naturalistic world. Okay, so something that is observable, something that is basically science, isn't it? The natural science. So the naturalistic science believes something that is in empirical evidence. So observable experiment that can be experimented. So on.
Yeah. I think we learn a lot more. We are curious and pay attention when we accept. Like for example, if I make an assumption of you as a brother, I am not going to willing to learn you. I'm not willing to interact with you. I need to be open-minded completely. So I need to accept the fact I don't know about you.
Yeah.
I think we need to have that mindset in everything in the universe. We should not accept the absolutes unless it is absolute enough for us to accept it as
but that's what I'm asking you. What is your criteria for you to be certain something exists as a factual thing?
Well, we can obviously, we all can see it, understand it.
Exactly. So that's what I told you, empirical evidence.
Yes.
That's what you're looking for. As an atheist, you believe in something which is observable, we can experiment on, for example, and that is what naturalistic science also believes in. Okay, but you're forgetting one thing. For us, by the way, I'm a Muslim, and I believe that also other religions, including Hinduism, we believe that the world and the universe is not just the physical existence. We also believe in the metaphysical. Okay, I'll give an example. You believe in consciousness?
You know what? If I say I believe in that, I need to lie because I have tried to understand it. I have not understood.
Okay. What is your definition of consciousness?
I have read enough, buddy. I cannot answer that question because I know enough where. See, I'm a kind of person. If I don't understand something absolutely well, I'm not willing to accept that I know it.
Okay. So there is a philosopher with the name of Descartes. And he says, I think, therefore I am.
You're right.
Okay? So if you're able to think, and you can think about your environment, yes, you can observe your environment and interact with it, that means you're conscious of your environment.
Fair enough.
In a nutshell, that's what it is. Okay? Do you experience that?
Of course.
Good. So you are conscious.
Yes, of course.
Okay? You're not like a rock which is non-sentient.
I don't have a problem with being conscious because the consciousness is used in a very broad by many. You see.
No, but in a nutshell, everyone will agree with this definition.
Okay, this conscious. Okay.
So it's basically you being aware of your environment. That's in simple terms. That's what consciousness is. So even a scientist who believes only in experimentation and observation through and by empirical evidence, even they will not deny their consciousness. Because first and foremost, in order to observe and to experiment, you have to be conscious. You can't just say, I'm not aware of any of these things, but then I'm going to do experiments and observe things. So the first principle that they have to acknowledge is that they are conscious. Now if I ask the same scientist or yourself, do you have any evidence, any empirical evidence, using your own principle, do you have any empirical that you are conscious? Because right now you told me your subjective understanding of what consciousness is. You feel it, you experience it. But if you wanted to prove objectively to another individual that you are conscious with empirical evidence, then you will fail to do so. Okay. You have to believe by faith, even as an atheist, even as a scientist who doesn't believe in God. You have no option but to believe that you have consciousness, which in fact is metaphysical. That's why you can't observe it empirically.
See, I will take you this point.
Yeah, go on.
We need to believe because we cannot go by facts, everything. Right?
Absolutely.
You're right.
Yeah, you hit the nail on that.
Belief is a fundamental for survival. Forget the for survival. We need to think the water is good. We need to think my mother is my mother.
Absolutely.
Right? There are a lot of
or your father, or your doctor.
Everybody, right? Belief is good, but I choose when I need to take, but I don't need to believe everything.
No, you don't have to.
Right?
You don't have to.
I will believe
that which doesn't have contradiction. Okay, it's easier to believe. But that which does have contradiction, then it becomes difficult. Okay. Now, the reason we were talking about metaphysical and physical earlier is to show you that as a person who believes in only seeing and observing things and in experimentation and all these things, I think you're not someone who says that is the only way you can believe, because there's something called testimonies. Like the way your mom or your dad told you that they're your mom or dad without you having any other evidence, just based on their statement. That is called testimony because you trust them. Similarly, when you go visit a doctor, so NHS here, we have the National Health Service. Trust me, no one in the right mind will go to a doctor and before they start treating them or give them any prescription, they're saying, please show me your certificate. Why? Because you trust the National Health Service, that they will only employ qualified people. Obviously, there are exceptions, but that doesn't make the rule. So what I'm saying is that we as human beings, and you pointed out correctly, we cannot survive. Just if you're going to ask for evidence for every single thing in your life, then life becomes very difficult and hard.
Need to see that is true.
Yeah.
We believe in things which is essential for our survival and well-being.
Sorry, just take some water.
Right. But when something is not so essential, well, when something promotes our well-being, we believe in that. But we don't need to extend that to everything, right? So when there is a need for me to question something, right? When something doesn't make sense, right? Why should I believe it? I'll question it. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's the reason I said something which doesn't have internal contradictions.
Like this, right? If I believe, for me, yellow color is very good or white color is very good, but he believes wearing black is good. But if my belief comes, anybody wearing black color is a bad person and I need to harm them, then there is a problem for me to examine my view, my belief on black color.
Absolutely, yeah. Because it doesn't make sense. It's incoherent,
sense. Yes, exactly.
Okay, so using that principle of making sense and not making sense, okay? There are many people who say, if they don't have an answer, they say, I don't know. But then that is also problematic. You know why? Because there are certain things which you cannot deny. For example, your existence, the existence of this earth, the existence of this universe, you cannot deny. Okay? You also cannot deny that these things have a cause, that they came into existence from somewhere or something.
Okay.
They didn't come into existence by themselves, nor did they create themselves.
When you're talking about the universe and the world?
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything that you know as an atheist in your naturalistic world. Yes? So everything that you see around you had a cause, including the galaxies and the universe which you talked about.
There is a lot of, certain things work. We need to hang on to something, right? I think when we did not have the scientific system, the observation system, everything, we need the society, the culture, the religion is kind of a sweater we wear when the cold weather is there, right? I think we need, because it's a fabric to protect us. It's for the well-being of the human being. But it was at that time, in that context, when we have a better view, when we have a better system to look at things, we should be willing to change and we should be willing to move on.
Oh no, there's nothing wrong in that. So as a Muslim, I have no problem accepting science, which deals with the naturalistic world, which explains to us how things happen. But you see, science has limits as well.
Of course.
Okay?
And it accepts that it has limits. That
of course,
is the beauty of it.
I never said it doesn't accept that. However, when science stops at a certain point, it cannot operate beyond that point. Okay? So without time and space, science cannot operate, because it needs that for its calculations, for its experimentations, for its observations. You need this. Without that, you cannot. So anyone trying to use science as a tool to find out about things which are metaphysical, which are beyond the scope of science, I think that is being not true to what science is capable of.
I will leave this with this one parting thought.
Yeah, go on.
See, the physicist, let's take the physicist or a mathematician, right? You take the laws of certain standard laws of mathematics or physics.
Yeah.
You go to people, the mathematician in any country, in any religion, in any culture, they won't dispute that because they have all agreed on that same and they know it's that.
What are you talking about? Agreed on what?
Like for example, if you take Earth is round, right?
Yeah.
Not from a commonsensical point of view.
No, with observation.
With
of course.
observation, right?
But that's what I'm telling you.
But
So
the-
naturalistic
here
world.
is the world where I have a problem with.
Yeah,
Why
go on.
it's not a universal science?
Sorry, what is not a universal science? Observation?
The religion is not as universal as a science.
No, before we go to religion, I want to understand from your worldview. For example, if I were to ask you this question, yes?
But one point, let me finish that.
Okay, go on.
Do you agree the fact that the religious gurus of all the world,
Yeah.
the fact that they all cannot agree who is one God is fundamentally something wrong there?
No, look, there are, for example, there are,
You need to accept this.
no, I don't need to because what you're talking about, you're now generalizing. Okay, not every religion believes in multiple gods,
but-
or not every religion believes
sir,
in one
no,
God.
I'm not saying that. I'm not
Okay,
saying
what are
that.
you saying
I
then?
am saying, let's take multiple religions in the world.
Yeah.
Right? There is more than 3, right? Probably all these leaders cannot agree one God. That much you agree?
Major,
Cannot agree
yeah,
on-
major religions. If they believed in the same God, it will be the same
Major,
religion.
minor, whatever. Right?
Yeah.
They cannot agree
No, you said
on the
5.
same
That's why I
God.
said major.
Right? They cannot
Yeah.
agree on the same God.
Yeah,
Correct?
that's why there are different religions.
So
What's the problem?
There is the conundrum because if
What is the problem with that?
The problem is the fact that either there is no God or there is no one God.
No. I think you're jumping the gun here. You know the scientists. The scientists have several models for the Big Bang. Do you know? For the origin of the universe. They don't all agree, but then there are majority of people amongst the scientists who agree with the Big Bang model.
Agree.
So it happens in science as well. There's disagreement. It's not just religion.
Yes.
So let's be fair.
No, you're right.
Every
You're right.
system out there, there's going to be agreement and disagreement within that. So, for example, within Christianity or within Islam or within Judaism, you will find.
But you need to understand that
No,
is
no,
a
wait.
theory.
Let
In
me.
science there is theory and there is
Yeah,
fact.
let me finish the point. So in these 3 religions, which are the major Abrahamic faith, yes, there will be internal, disagreements. So amongst the Muslims, or amongst the Christians, or among the Jews, there will be different sects within that. Okay, the subsects, just like in Hinduism as well. Okay, so even those people who say they follow Vishnu, yes, there will be disagreements within the same tradition of Hinduism as well. And the same thing goes with science. I'll tell you why. Because with the same observation, different scientists will conclude different things. Okay? That is when it becomes, for them, it is a hypothesis. So before it becomes a theory, it has to be an observation from their perspective, from their subjective understanding. Then they say, okay, now let's do a peer review. And then if they agree, it becomes a theory.
Absolutely, but
Yeah.
in science there is theory
Yeah.
and there is a fact. Right? Right? You're right.
Same thing in religion.
Yeah. Which one? But not all religions have a fact. Where is all
Okay, what is
religions
your
have a
definition of
common
fact?
Which one?
What's your definition of fact?
Which is absolutely agreed across the board by
Okay, I'll
everyone.
give you one fact.
Yeah.
Every human being sins, which means they disobey. I'm telling you, it's something whether you agree or disagree. Sins in the sense that they disobey either whatever they believe or perceive to be their God, they disobey them. Now this is a fact. No one can say they are sinless.
Which one?
Even you cannot, even as an atheist, you cannot say you do not commit anything which is wrong. Have you lied in your life?
No, wrong is different, sin is different.
It's just label, my friend. It's just label. Stealing is same whether you call it with a different name. Lying is different. The same whether you call it a different name. Murder is the same thing whether you call it a different name. So every human being makes mistakes or sins or does crime, whatever you want to call it, whatever label you want to put. Now there are factual things which religion and scientists and people, even atheists and people who believe in God, they will agree with. Like everyone believes rape is wrong, right? Yeah? So that is something, regardless of your faith or lack of faith, you will come to the same understanding that it's fact that rape is wrong.
Right.
See what I mean? Okay. Going back to the cause and effect, this is a scientific methodology as well. Okay? That everything that begins to exist has a cause. Okay? You and I began to exist at one point. Okay? Our cause, our parents, yes? And their cause, their parents, and so on. Yes? Same thing with our galaxies and stars and so on. They had a cause as well. Yes. In fact, the entire universe, according to the scientists, they say it is something like 13.8 billion years old, which means that there was a point in time when it began to exist. Yes, which they call the infinity. Sorry, the singularity. Okay. So the question to you, as a person who believes only in empirical evidences, yes, I don't know if so far if you agree with me that you believe in the metaphysical, but you certainly believe in the physical world. Now the question to you is, where did the universe come from? So one answer is I don't know, which everyone gives, which is fair, you can give that answer, but I'm sure you must have thought about it.
Yeah, see, the point is, here is the biggest fundamental problem with the religious people and the non-religious people.
Yeah.
The non-religious people, we are totally fine, and actually we are very happy. We are very happy to not know answers, not assume things that we don't know, because we accepting the fact that we don't know, we accepting the reality.
But that's not a fact, that's your...
No, we accepting that we don't know.
That's your opinion.
Makes us more curious, willing to learn, open-minded.
Yeah, no problem.
Right?
The religious people won't have an issue with anything you said.
Right.
Trust me, they won't. Because if they don't know, they'll say, I don't know. They are willing to learn, they are willing to understand, they're willing to even experiment. You know, some of the earliest Muslims, yes, they did a lot of research and experiments, yes, and they discovered a lot of things. So if you go to this website called 1001 in number 1001, inventions.com, you'll see that over there. So people like Khwarizmi and people like Biruni and all that, they had a lot of, but they had faith in God as well. They did a lot of research, a lot of experiments, a lot of discoveries. Same thing with Aryabhata in amongst the Hindus, and amongst the Christians, they had saints, for example, who actually discovered a lot of things in biology and so on. Yes, amongst botany.
See, I think, by the way, I'm visiting this country. It's amazing the fact that there is a platform like this having a discourse.
Yeah, this is unique only in this country.
It's amazing.
It's called Speaker's Corner.
The fact is we all come from different culture, different religion,
different walks of life.
Value. But we can in a civil way
have a discussion. Absolutely.
And you can with a politely and with respect to each other disagree and still walk away.
Of course.
That's an amazing thing. That's
communication is key.
Right.
In order for us to understand each other. Like I was just telling my friend earlier that in India there are so many Hindus and so many Muslims. In fact, many people don't know this, but India has the third largest Muslim population after Indonesia and Pakistan. I don't know if you were aware of that.
Actually, second largest. India is.
Yeah, I think that is also debatable. Yes, so some people say it has overtaken Pakistan as well. Yes, and look, I wouldn't be surprised.
It doesn't matter.
It has a huge population. Yes. But then these Muslims who live literally next door to many Hindus don't know about Hinduism. And same thing with the Hindus. Many of these Hindus who live literally next door to their Muslim neighbors don't know about the Muslims. So what happens when there's no communication, when there's no understanding, you have chaos. Yes, you have people oppressing each other. People, because of the misunderstanding and their unwillingness to sit down and to communicate in a civilized manner. Yes, unfortunately there's a breakdown in society. Yes, and this is something as a civilized, cultured nation you don't want.
Yeah, you want to see what you don't know, you fear.
Absolutely.
The moment you talk and get to know, you doesn't need to be that, but at least get to know and say in the end they are a human being.
True.
They are a father, mother, brother, children.
Human beings.
They have the same values, right? They just have a different style, different belief system. You may not agree with that, doesn't matter. But willing to work with that, and of course you believe in something. If you have let's assume you invested very well. You think you have an idea, you are going to teach that to your neighbors and friends. And take that as, so when you are trying to do, I don't take it personally as you are trying to convert me or anything like that. Either from a belief, I take it, you are in the best interest of me. Hey, this is doing very well for me. So I am willing to share that knowledge to you.
Absolutely.
That is the way I see it.
Look, as a Muslim, no one is saying that we want to convert all Hindus just because we talk to them. So sharing information gets us to know each other. Yes? if you are in sync with the understanding of a Muslim and you want to become a Muslim, well and good. If you don't want to, well and good as well. No one is going to impose. If you start imposing things, then that is something prohibited in Islam. We do not force someone, and if any Muslim does that, then they are not really following
That is where I think I have a problem,
Yeah.
because the text in the Olden says, if somebody doesn't believe in Allah, then they are an infidel, and you have to you are okay to kill them.
No,
that
that's-
I have a problem with.
I don't think you have read that in the Quran. You read it somewhere else.
That is a problem, but that has to be there. You are telling it.
You
is
know what the
not
Quran says in
Yeah.
chapter 532? It says if you take one life unjustly, yes, it is
a
as if
Muslim life or
anyone.
Uh-huh.
Anyone. If you kill a person unjustly, without any justice, without any reason of being in a just manner, then you have taken the life of all of mankind.
So
And hear me out. And if you save the life of one person, and like I said, doesn't have to be a Muslim, can be a non-Muslim as well. Yes, it is as if you have again saved the life of all of mankind.
Okay.
So killing without justification is wrong. And even if
What
there
is
is
the justification?
okay, even if there is a justification, for example, murder. Yes. So in Islam we believe in capital punishment. Okay, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. That kind of thing. From the same thing in the Torah, they believe the same thing. So what I'm saying is that it doesn't mean that there is some vigilante where you actually, as a mob, kill someone or lynch someone, as we have seen in the case of many Muslims being killed by Hindus in India in recent history, unfortunately.
But before that, Muslims came and assassinated millions.
if they did that-
they destroyed our temples and put a mosque over it.
Yeah.
So you know all that story.
Hear me-
right?
hear me out.
And 300 years they came, raped the women, and that is all okay.
Hear me out. No, did I say it's okay?
No, okay, tell me what
please
is it?
don't put words
Tell
in my
me
mouth.
what is it
Okay,
then?
now you're getting
me
agitated.
what
Let's
is
calm
it?
down.
Uh-huh.
Let's calm down.
Okay.
Okay. If anyone did that and called themselves Muslims and they kill without justice, then they will be punished by Allah.
So all the people, you look at the camera and tell,
Yeah.
who came to the country, Mohols who came,
Yeah.
destroyed the people, took our land, took our women, took our temple property.
Yeah.
They are all bad against Allah. They did bad against Allah. Can you look at that camera and tell?
I will look at the camera and say, not only the Mughals, in fact, any Muslim leader, anywhere in the world, if they commit atrocities and they oppress people, then that is not the teaching of Islam.
Very good.
Okay?
I like that. I'm fair enough. I
Okay.
take that.
Now, would you condemn the Hindus who kill the Muslims?
Absolutely.
Look at the camera and say it.
Forget Hindu.
You see, I didn't hesitate.
No, I will tell you. Hindu, Muslim or Christian, anybody.
There you go.
Like they invaded any other country,
No, not country. Within their own country, if they kill.
within their own country.
And they lynch
are
for
invaded.
just because they doubted somebody has beef in the fridge, they lynch them.
Well,
Would you condemn that?
I will condemn that.
Good,
I will condemn
alhamdulillah.
that.
Then we are on the same level.
But that is one thing, an individual, some cuckoo head doing it,
Yeah.
and systemically an army moving and destroying in millions.
You know,
that happened in the
look,
history.
I've already condemned
well,
it.
When that happened,
Now you're going to keep repeating it, won't make a difference. I've already condemned it, have I not? Yes, I did not hesitate and I did not make any excuses.
But Daddy, the thing is, you need to understand,
Yeah.
when that happens, when people come to know that, they are not everybody is going to me, like me say,
Yeah.
my grandfather, it happened, somebody in your grandfather age did it,
Yeah.
and my grandfather happened, I'm not going to take revenge for that. I won't do that. But you need to understand, not all people are in the same state of mind.
I agree.
That
I
is
agree.
what is
and
happening.
also you need to bear in mind that all those people who condemn the Mughals for their wrongdoing, okay? If you're going to stereotype every one of them as being bad,
we shouldn't.
exactly. So today India is known. If I ask anyone outside India, show me what do you think represents India, what would you say?
They are the largest democracy in the world.
No, not. I'm talking about the land itself, not the system. The land. Give me some landmark that you can recognize India with.
Himalayas, whatever, I don't know. You tell
Okay.
me.
Taj Mahal, man-made, obviously.
Man-made.
Okay. So immediately, if somebody says Taj Mahal,
I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of it.
You're not
why would a man kills, put so much money, destroy for his wife. That is selfish. That's actually put a.
He loves his wife.
So kill so many people and take a.
What do you mean kill so many people?
You know how many people, thousands of people were slaved to work in that.
Oh, you actually believe that theory?
Well, what you say is a fact, and all I say.
I never said it's a fact or not fact. You think, by the way, calm down. You're getting agitated again. First and foremost, look, there's a lot of bullshit which they consider as history, and some people call it fact. First, wait.
Some people seems to be the other person. That is the problem I have.
There is always two parties. Okay, you cannot clap in India. They're saying "Do haath se taali bajti hai." Okay, you cannot. That's Hindi. I thought you were from India. Okay, anyway, what it means is like you cannot clap with one hand. You need two parties.
Any survey around the world, what do people know about India? Two things: Mahatma Gandhi and the Taj Mahal. Taj Mahal is a huge attraction for people from around the world to come, and now it's not in our tourist handbooks anymore. It's been excluded. Now, why? Those sort of examples, do you find inclusion and not building walls crucial for India?
Taj Mahal is not in the tourism.
The UP government has issued a tourist handbook that doesn't mention the Taj Mahal because, as you know, their chief minister last month or 2 months ago made a statement saying Taj Mahal is not Indian culture. They have a particularly bigoted and narrow-minded view.
Now,
of what
he's
is
becoming political. I just want to rescue us all from that.
No, it is. It doesn't matter who built it, whether you like the people who built it or not. If somebody builds something beautiful, we must have an unprejudiced eye to appreciate it. When Malvika repeatedly said disabled community, I want you to know, most of the society is disabled in their own ways.
Right.
It's not because you lost a hand or leg you become disabled. People are disabled. They tend to disable themselves in so many ways. Definitely, Taj Mahal is a beautiful gem in anybody's eye. You cannot exclude that from India. At the same time, I also don't believe that you must say this is the only thing in India. If you come to India, Taj Mahal is the only place to see.
No, of course
It's a very narrow way of doing things. I think that's what has been done for a long time. And it's time to change that by projecting everything else.
There's so many other
But definitely you can't remove a beautiful gem
If
like
there's so many
Taj
other
Mahal.
beautiful things, we shouldn't look at who built them, just that they are
Yes.
beautiful right now.
Especially if somebody whom you don't like built something beautiful for you, you must enjoy it even more.
But I worry a bit about you saying people you don't like. Is that…
No, I'm saying if you don't like somebody and they build something beautiful for you,
But are you talking
isn't
about
there a double joy?
But when you say somebody you don't like, you're not talking about a community.
No, I'm
Talk about
I'm
an
not
individual.
I'm saying if I did not know that Taj Mahal is pulled out of the tourism thing. I really did not know that. I'm saying the only reason why you may do such a thing is because you don't like someone who built it, because there is a history of invasion, there is cruelty, there are terrible truths of the past. Shashi has been… I have yet to read the book, I have the book, but I've heard him speak here and there about all the things that have been done during the British era, which is very cruel.
Absolutely.
But if we go to UK now, we don't hate those people. Yes, they have done this to us, we should never forget it. We should never forget it. This has been done to us because this should not be done to us once again. But it does not mean today's generation of English people, we have to hate them.
Correct.
No, that's not it. So the
If you
same
could
goes…
give us the Kohinoor back, that's the least you could have
No,
done.
that is that same goes for Islamic invasions. They've done terrible things to us. But we don't have to forget it, we should not forget it.
But
Because
also
we
they
should
stayed and became us, Sadhguru.
Huh?
They stayed and became us. There were some invaders who came and looted and left. But for many of the people, such as the emperor who built the Taj Mahal, they are us. They are part of our soil, assimilated into our culture.
Say, I want you to know, if there was no World War II, British also would have stayed. So that doesn't mean that happened because of their love for you.
No, but Sadhguru, they sent everything from here back to England, whereas these people, even whatever they looted, they spent here.
No,
There
no.
is a difference.
That is because it's another time when there were no ships.
Technical
were
problem, isn't it? No,
There were ships, there were ships.
Transportation issues.
And besides, they had a land route back home to the Fergana Valley. They didn't use it.
It's not easy to go.
But you say whether they did or not, one should not hate them now and should not build walls around them now. Is that your message?
See, what I'm saying is, historically, many ugly things have been done by different people.
Quite right.
Ugly things that have happened to us as a nation, we must remember.
Ugly things we've done to ourselves also.
That also is there, that's another aspect.
Right.
What others have done to us, we must remember, but we should not become bitter because this bitterness will destroy us.
Or in English they say it takes two to tango. Okay? So you cannot just blame one party. There are atrocities today. If you look at today, okay, who are the main oppressors?
Which one?
In India, who are the main oppressors?
Main oppressors?
Oppressors. Who oppress and kill people in India today?
I don't know.
There you go. If you don't know about today, what are you going to know about history? You know, I'm not even going to...
That could be a lie.
No,
That
come
is
on.
a lie.
No, come
That
on.
is a propaganda.
You know, today...
I can say.
Wait
It's a
a minute.
propaganda.
Today we have something called cameras.
Well,
Cameras don't lie.
I know. Well, people manufacture so many things. Cameras, they can manufacture.
Oh, so let me get this right. So today you're not willing to believe, but in history, thousands of years ago, you believe. Wow.
Well, the books are there. History is there, buddy.
Oh, books are there, but cameras are there as well. Come on, let's be fair. You're in denial.
No. I'm an Indian.
I don't think you realize that as a person, just because you're Indian doesn't mean you have to be biased.
No, I'm not biased. I'm telling you.
I think you are,
We
based on what you
this
said.
Land, I'm an atheist, but this
Doesn't
country
matter.
was invaded by Islam. They came.
In fact, at the beginning, I told you not to make fun of the Hindu deities. I was the one as a Muslim.
no.
You were the one making fun of
I
them.
didn't make
So you're no
fun
different to
of-
those people.
I didn't make fun
You
of
call them
anybody.
cuckoo.
No.
It's on camera.
No.
Like I said, camera doesn't lie.
Okay.
You had to backtrack on that.
You can take a piece of whatever I said and you can tell whatever you want.
Did you
to
not
tell.
call it cuckoo?
Which one? I did.
Okay,
I did.
so-
But
so don't say you
need to
didn't.
take the context. You need to take the context.
There was no context for calling a god cuckoo, other than you mocking it.
That is your God. I don't believe in
No,
God.
that was a Hindu god you're
Any
mocking.
God. I don't believe in God.
I know, it doesn't mean you have to mock it.
What is it?
Doesn't mean you have to mock it.
No, I didn't mock it, but
Calling a god cuckoo is mocking.
Which one?
In my book. You see, you're in denial again.
okay.
That is your
See,
nature,
you are
unfortunately.
putting words in my mouth.
No,
but
it's
that's
on camera. I can prove
But
it to you.
The fact is.
Wait. Are you calling me a liar?
No. Which one?
Are you calling me a liar?
I'm not calling you a liar.
Okay. Did you say the Hindu god is a cuckoo idea?
I didn't say that.
It's on camera.
Whatever is in the camera.
Are you going to deny what's on
I
camera?
am denying that.
Okay.
I am denying that.
Shall I
am
show you
not
the
saying-
clip?
You are putting the words in my mouth.
Shall I show you the clip?
Which one?
Where you
I
said
don't
it.
care what you show. I know what
So
I
you're
said.
willing to now wait for a person.
Sorry, brother.
Wait,
I
for-
don't have- thank you.
That's
With all
fine.
due respect.
No problem. You want to not shake anyone? Okay. So for a
I will
person who
even
wanted
hide
evidence, now denies evidence.
Okay. When you go and when we go.
All I said is
there
respect
co-
the
there
other
is-
religion.
there is
Even if it's Hindus,
there
doesn't
is
matter. Their
consequences.
religion, their
There
gods.
is consequences. You go to a neighbor
Yeah.
and you take advantage of them and you do whatever you want to do. You cannot later on say, I'm sorry, without consequences. There will be consequences.
What neighbor you're talking about? We didn't discuss any neighbors. Anyway, I think he got upset because I put him on the spot with regards to mocking the Hindu gods. And if anybody looks at the clip, and I will show it, yeah, because he also claimed I put things in his mouth. It was a good discussion until he started bringing all these atrocities of the Mughals. Maybe that got him all worked up. But look, we don't deny that there are rulers in the past, whether in India, whether it is Alexander the Great, whether it's the British colonialism, okay, or the Spanish, okay, they all, when they conquer lands, there's bound to be atrocities. There's bound to be killing. But if the religion specifically instructs, yes, in Islam particularly, because I can speak on behalf of the religion from the Quran, that the Quran instructs you not to kill unjustly, okay, not to oppress. Then if a Muslim does that, then he is a sinner by default, based on that, if they committed those crimes. But if there are rulers who rule justly and who rule by the Quran and by the Sunnah, then these rulers are people who have done justice and have represented the religion correctly. Okay? And this is what we say. We don't deny. If you see a wrong, you say it's wrong. Simple as that. Okay? Provided you have evidence for that. Because there are many things in history which people have just made up. So there are a lot of spin doctors who would spin things out of proportion, they exaggerate sometimes, okay? And we have seen this time and time again, because there's a saying that the victors write history, okay? So maybe they have written something incorrectly because they are the only ones writing history of that time. And we have the same thing with regards to many things which we see, whether it's a history of India or of the Middle East or of Americas or anywhere else in the world, you know? So anyway, the point I wanted to make to this gentleman who considered himself to be a Hindu atheist, and they have this belief that you can be a Hindu and yet not believe in God. This is one of the ways they think it's okay and is acceptable, okay? But then when I wanted to ask him with regards to his concept and his idea of empirical evidence, that unless you believe something, you cannot, unless you see something, you cannot believe it. And I wanted to understand what is his belief about the universe. I think we never got a chance, maybe next time, inshallah, when he comes down, okay? So anyway, Jazakallah khairan, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Don't forget to subscribe to DawahWise, okay? And inshallah, yes, keep us in your du'as. Thank you very much.